Tones are not just pitch. Tones are not just pitch. Tones are not just pitch. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but I've just listened through a ton of clips on YouTube of people speaking Thai, Chinese, and Vietnamese, and I've seen a lot of people that have put in a lot of work and developed a certain degree of fluency, but what happened was that I think they've focused on the tones as only pitch contours. You can even see it in some people whose heads are actually moving in the direction of the tones, and the result is that they're still sounding quite foreign and they're not actually getting the tones right. So I'm going to tell you a story. Sorry to those people who have come through Minecraft or any of these who've heard this story before, but I think this is actually going to hammer home the point. There was a person who came from a faraway land and he went to another faraway land. Now, in that person's country, he doesn't have rain. So when he arrives at this friend's country and he gets invited to dinner, he's sitting in there. Now, there are no windows in the friend's house. I just have to say that because it's important for later on. And as they're sitting eating dinner, all of a sudden, he hears this noise. What's that? Rain. Oh my gosh. Now, they had corrugated iron roofs in their house. And so the rain was loud. As it came down, he thought, oh my God, I've never heard anything like that before. And all of a sudden, it started to get louder and heavier. Boom, 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 boom. What's that? Hail. Oh my goodness, this is mind-blowing. You've got rain and hail. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. And the rain stopped, the hail stopped, they finished dinner, they went out, the sky was clear again, and he went home. Now, he was still mind-blown from hearing the hail and the rain. So what did he do? He went down to the hardware store, bought a piece of corrugated iron, and then went out into the yard and tried to collect as many pebbles as he could, and then started dropping the pebbles on the corrugated iron. He thought, that's rain. And then he went out and proclaimed to his village, I've discovered rain. They've got this in a faraway land. Do you want to hear it? And he starts sprinkling the pebbles on the corrugated iron. He said, this is rain. He said, but wait for it. And then he gets his rocks and starts throwing them at the corrugated iron and said, that is hail. And his friends smiled and thought he was the most exotic person they've ever seen and gave him a big golf clap. And that was the parable of tones. Okay, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but seriously, it's not far off the mark when it comes to foreigners learning tonal languages. So what does this mean? A lot of people, when they learn tonal languages, focus on these tone or pitch envelopes. And you even see people's heads moving there. And I've even seen it to the extent where people will go and get these voice analyzers. You might have seen me use these spectral analyzers, but they'll actually try and hit the exact frequency pitch. So if they hear a native speaker that they're basing it on saying, ma, they'll try and hit that actual note, ma, and copy it note for note. Now, this is crazy. Tones are voice degrees, and actually in Chinese, in Thai, the word for tone in English, it has this connotation with pitch maybe, I don't know, but actually in Chinese, 声调, it just means voice degree, and in Thai, วันในยก, it means color marker of the voice. Again, so you got to understand, tones did not originate from these pitches. It's not that you had this committee of old people saying, I'm going to give this a falling pitch envelope and I'm going to give this a rising pitch envelope. It didn't happen like that. Tonal languages generally started as non-tonal languages. Now, these syllables, they may have had a stop throat at the end, ma, or they may have had this puff of air at the end, ma, or it could have started as an S at the end, mas. And as these beginnings and endings went through time and went over geography, what happened is that they started to leave an imprint on the actual pitch. So ma, 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 ma. So it's not unlike if you had some wet sand there and you pushed your hand into the sand, it's going to leave an imprint. What was happening is what was happening with the voice at the beginning and the end of a syllable was leaving an imprint on the pitch. Now, there are a lot of other aspects, but pitch seems to be the one that a lot of Westerners get hooked up on. Vietnamese is fantastic because you'll notice you've got, say I said the word nang, nang, and so nang, if that's just this normal tone, you've got this tone called the nak tone. So if you put a dot under it, it becomes nak, nak. And you can hear that this NG, not only does it become a shorter syllable, but it actually gets caught in the throat, nak, to the point it almost sounds like a K at the end that's glottalized, nak. And actually, this word in Vietnamese means heavy, and it's the same word that we have in Thai, nak, which is actually realized as a kokai, a final K that's caught in the throat. So, nak, nak. You can hear that there. The tone is not just a pitch envelope. It's the whole action of the throat, and the action of the throat is what gives it the pitch. There's time, there's glottalization. And so when I learn a tonal language, I don't go and try and think I'm going to learn tone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm telling you, counting tones, stop it. Stop counting tones. Some people even count tones between tonal languages like it's a dick swinging contest, and this is just crazy. Cantonese has 9 tones. No, it has 6 tones. Thai has 5 tones, but Vietnamese has 6, sometimes 5. It just stop doing it. It's irrelevant. Tonal languages have throat positions, throat actions. So you've got voiced, you've got unvoiced, k, s. You've got unvoiced, so s. And then you've got stopped throat, so you've got those 3 categories, and then you've got normal voice, stiff voice, whether it's killed at the end, so for example, ma versus mak, and whether it's short or long, so mak, mak. And that's basically every single tonal languages. Now, some languages like Mandarin don't have these stopped sounds at the end, and some languages don't have a differentiation between short and long. But basically, every tonal language that you find in this part of the world, whether it's Thai, Vietnamese, Mandarin, Cantonese, they're all broken down into this system. And then what happens, you get tonal contours then that might merge or whatever. But when I learn a tonal language, I'll just think of this 5x3 grid, and then I'll plot what contour goes in there. And in fact, if you understand this for, say, the Thai languages, well, then you can just map which contour goes to which. So you might see, say, these dark outer lines in these contour boxes. Well, those pitch contours have just morphed, so they're all pronounced in the same pitch contour. But I won't be counting, oh, this has 5 tones, this has 6. I just think 5x3 grid, these ones, oh, okay. And I can generally learn the pitch contours of a new dialect in just a few minutes because I've got that framework going. Now, you can do this for Chinese, you can do this for Vietnamese, any dialect, they will all generally fit into this pattern. So stop counting tones and then stop just trying to mimic these pitch envelopes because it's much more. You see, a lot of people get caught up, especially in Chinese, Vietnamese, and Thai with this, we call it the third tone in Mandarin, ma. There's a YouTuber called Lila with phenomenal Chinese, and he actually got coached by drama coaches that coach Chinese people how to lose their upcountry accent so they speak Biaozhen, very good standard Chinese or Beijing accent. And he was saying that he didn't learn just the 5 tones of Mandarin, but he learned these 16 combinations. Now, what we call when tones affect the tones around them, it's called tone sandhi. Now, rather than learning these 16 combinations, if you get the throat positions right and you're learning how to use the throat like native speakers of the language use their throat, well, then you won't have to go and memorize all of these complex rules. Now, it's great that he's put these up there and realized that, and he's mastered it. You can hear it in his Chinese. But I'm telling you, you won't have to memorize these patterns if you get the throat right because they're just going to happen naturally. So what is a tone? It's the difference between what the throat is doing at the beginning of a syllable and the end of a syllable. And for pitch accent languages like Japanese, Shanghainese, you'll find that these throat positions actually might span over a couple of syllables, but that's okay. You get just these regular patterns. So throat positions, throat actions, and you're going to get the tone right. So if you're really serious about learning a language, more than just say what you'd need on a tourist holiday somewhere, and you want to be taken seriously speaking the language, you need it for work, or you're needing it to actually communicate with people rather than get golf claps, well then, this is what I put Minecraft together for. Jump into the Discord server, start looking at the conversations, and I think you'll quickly find that, oh, holy crap, I actually need to take this program, because you'll learn how the body produces languages. Tones are just a part of it, but languages right across the world, and you will learn how to self-correct, because native speakers don't know this stuff about their own language. They speak it as native speakers. I have 2 kids that are native speakers of Thai. If you even mention the word tone to them, they haven't got a clue what you're talking about. But if I said, what's ma? They would say horse. What's ma? They would say dog. So they can just hear them as totally different word entities, but they actually don't know what the concept of a tone is. But as a learner of the language, you can take this knowledge, you can have it running in the background and then put it back into the language. And if you're doing it right, native speakers won't know what you're doing on the back end, but they're going to think, holy crap, this guy speaks really well. So scan the QR code, jump into our Discord server and join the Minecraft program. You're going to get all of this and more. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Stuart J. Raj, and I'll see you on the other side.